Hi, my name is Tom Chick. I am here with Bruce Geryk.
Yep.
This car we're in, Geryk, reminds me of something I did with my friend Trey Ellis in high school.
Oh. Wow.
But by the way, what was your first car that you owned?
That I owned?
Yeah.
It's a Volkswagen Rabbit.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's like a sorority girl car.
Oh. No, our family had a long history of Volkswagens.
And were you happy to get this Volkswagen Rabbit? I mean, I guess you were happy to get
gosh.
a car, but Rabbit was okay with you?
Oh, yeah, it was freaking great.
My first was a Ford Pinto, by the way.
Yeah,
Which,
a friend of mine had a Ford Pinto.
Yeah. So me and my friend Trey Ellis, he's going to get his first car. And Trey Ellis's first car was from like some uncle or something he had who lived down somewhere down in Louisiana. It wasn't New Orleans. It wasn't anything fun like that. Just some crappy backwater town in Louisiana. His uncle was like, okay, I've got an old Cadillac Brougham down here.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you come down, take the bus down, and you can drive it back home, and it'll be your car. Mm-hmm. So me and Trey Ellis got on a bus. We took a bus ride down somewhere into rural Louisiana and from Arkansas, and then we drove back his new car. And
Nice.
I just remember that feeling of, wow, my friend has his own car now. We can do anything we want. And just that road trip, anything. And that road trip back was about kind of freely driving into freedom. It was like 110% freedom, which as a teenager was just amazing. That was one of my favorite road trips, and it might have had something to do, too, with the fact that we were smoking marijuana the whole time as we drove back.
Okay.
So I'm just saying maybe that had something to do with it.
Possible.
Do you remember any good road trips? Because road trips now, I don't know how you feel about this, Geryk. I feel like road trips are a young man's game. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have them in me much anymore.
Yeah. Well, they're awfully inconvenient. You have to sit in the car for a long time, and you get kind of sweaty, and you have to stay at hotels and.
Oh God! Not even hotels, like crappy motels.
Yeah,
stuff
motel kind of
things on the side of a highway. It's the worst place you want to stay.
Oh yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, I had a pretty interesting road trip once. Some friends of mine and I went to a gaming convention.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
We
like E3.
Yeah, in a way, yes, the E3. Except it was in Madison, Wisconsin.
It's a Gen Con.
It was DipCon.
What DipCon?
Diplomacy convention.
Ew. Okay, I see that. It was about the game Diplomacy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but we had a whole bunch of cassette tapes. And,
that's right. Like you used to have to decide. Yeah, like how many are you going to take? Like you're going to take a shoebox full. It's not like you just load up an iPod anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like throw that. People had to decide who was going to choose which music, and I was in college, so we were very it's very important to be hip and have the right music, and it's one of those things where you're driving way too fast because you think you're cool, and and you drive late at night and all sorts of things like that. But I mean, road trips can be I find road trips to be a bonding experience more than anything else.
Well, it's the measure of how well you get along with someone, whether or not you can do a road trip like that. The best road trips to me have less to do about where I'm going and more to do with whom I'm driving.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
and I've been on some insufferable road trips too, by the way, because it's with someone that I really should not be traveling with.
Tell me about that.
I feel bad. This is a woman that I knew here in Los Angeles who was a friend of mine who, I liked her and I was happy to hang out with her when we were at a party together and we were with a bunch of other friends. But just being in a car with her, and this was just up to San Francisco for 5 hours, I just realized, she I don't know, it's going to make me sound petty, but she's just one of these people who just talk about herself and wouldn't care anything about the other person, and she was interesting enough, but it's just not somebody that I wanted to sit in a car with for 5 hours. To be fair, though, I can count on one hand the people with whom I think I'd be comfortable taking a road trip. You, Geryk, would be one of those few people, by the way. I think you and I would be great on a road trip. One of the reasons we would listen to the same podcast. Like I could put on some nerdy man history podcast or something, and you and I would both enjoy it.
Oh yeah, it would be very interesting. You know what they have now, besides podcasts, they didn't have they didn't have podcasts when we were having road trips, but they have audiobooks now.
I don't know that I'd want to do that.
Wouldn't that be the perfect thing to listen?
No,
really?
No.
Why not?
I've just never gotten it. We did our podcast on. Oh, I'm sorry. We did our video cast or whatever. Our Tom and Bruce online on books, and I'm still just not on board with the whole idea of listening to someone read me a book when it's not like someone in the same room with me who's like a friend.
Okay.
Like I don't want to listen to a stranger read me a book. I guess.
Okay.
And also it's I think I prefer the zoning out you can do with the informality of a podcast.
Right.
And that's another thing. Like podcasts are a huge boon to road trips.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Thinking back to a road trip when you only had music or talk radio. Ugh.
Right. Oh, we listened to a lot of Rush Limbaugh. Yeah.
I don't know if you're joking, but I used to listen to a lot of Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, Larry King, listening to Larry King on the radio. Good Lord.
Right. Yeah.
I have a friend who lives in Pennsylvania. Right, he's a good friend of mine. He lived here in Los Angeles, and he and his wife moved out to Pennsylvania, and they have a family there.
Keystone State.
He's what?
Keystone State.
Down? Are you saying downstate?
No, the Keystone State.
Oh, Keystone State. Right, exactly.
Go ahead.
Here in California, we just call it the other coast.
Okay.
The wrong side of the country, yeah. So he emailed me with an intriguing proposition that I was super tempted to take him up on. He said, Tom, I have an uncle who's out there in L.A. He moved out there for like some heart surgery or something. We told him not to, but he did anyway. He brought his car out there. He's been out there for a while, and things aren't working out. You know, he got the surgical procedure he needed, but he needs to come back home to Philadelphia. And his car is out there, and he's not allowed to drive. So he has offered, if you drive him, he will pay for your return ticket from Philadelphia back to Los Angeles. Now, he's an old guy, but he's nice. You'd probably get along with him. Just think about this. You know, if you have time, drive my uncle out to Philadelphia and then fly back. And I was tempted to do that just for the sheer unpredictability of what would happen traveling with some old man from Los Angeles to Philadelphia. But what eventually made me think I'm not going to do that is just the time sink and the discomfort of sitting in a car for all those long days. So
that's a long time. I mean, that's a long trip.
I did a trip with my friend Christian from L.A. to Oregon to go to a wedding and thought, yeah, this will be fun. Boy, that even turned out to be long. But yeah, L.A. to Philly, good Lord. What's the last road trip you took?
Well, the last road trip I took actually was with my parents.
Speaking of, how do you travel with your parents? How did that go?
Well, my parents and I have a very good relationship, and we always have.
But they're your parents. You can only take them
well, you get into. But here, the backstory is that that my father is, both of them are. My father's a little, just past 80. My mother is just about to hit 80, and my father wanted to see his sister who lives out in New York, and my parents live in Michigan, and he kind of wanted to drive across country the way that we used to drive when we were when I was a kid. We'd often drive out in the summers. We'd drive out to Massachusetts through Ohio and then Pennsylvania, and sometimes we learned that it was faster through Canada. But he couldn't drive himself, and I had a vacation coming, and so my wife and I decided that we would go ahead and just drive them and make a road trip out of it for them. That would allow them to sort of take the worry of travel off of their shoulders, because my father has some difficulty flying, and so I went on a 4 or 5 day road trip with them, and it was fine. I mean, I don't see my parents as much as I should anymore. It's very nice to be with them, but sure, you're with your parents for 9 hours in the car, and you start reliving some of the old frictions that you had when you were 16 years old, right? I mean, that's natural, but overall, it was a very good time, and it's something that spending time. It's the kind of thing that you don't get to do very much now, as sort of as a middle-aged adult, is that you spend a long period of time with one person, right? Obviously other than your spouse or something, but you just don't have that time to say, I'm gonna take 5 days, 6 days, and just drive in a car with somebody, right?
It's why that's a whole genre of movie, by the way. Right, is two people in a car or like on a road trip. That whole road trip movie thing. Yeah, that's a thing. I used to drive from Little Rock to Memphis.
Hmm.
It's like what is that? Maybe hour? Is that 3 hours? No, it can't be 3 hours. It's probably like tops 2 hours. Because the drinking age in Memphis was 18 and it was 21 in Little Rock.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, look, we're almost home, and by home I mean in LA. What?
I got a message that says you've received $2,000 for continued good behavior. Keep it up. What does that mean?
That means you aren't whining about how long till we get there. Are we there yet?
Are we there yet?
That's the allowance I'm giving you. Yes. Okay, give me the $2,000 back. That's that. That's it.
Excellent. Very good. Oh, look, there's LA. I feel like I'm home already.
Yep. That's the funny thing about road trips, by the way. The return trip is always so much longer than the outgoing trip.
Really? You find it that way? I find it else.
Yeah, because when you're going out somewhere, it's like exciting, and you're excited about where you're going to go to. When you're going home, you just want to get home.
I see.
And the fact that you're not getting home for every successive minute makes it feel that much longer. And that's not necessarily true to road trips, like flight as well, I feel. You don't agree? Like, you feel the trip out is...
I feel that, if I've never been somewhere, then I have no sort of mental marker for how far I've gone, so it just seems like forever. Whereas on the return trip, this just happened to me with my wife, who went on vacation to the Outer Banks, North Carolina, and as we were driving out there, it just seemed so long because I had no idea when we were going to get there, right? So everything seemed like it was so far in the future until we got there, right? And then all of a sudden, like, boom, you're there. But it seemed like, it's hours and hours. And on the way back, I just looked at the milepost. I was like, we'll be home, at this time. This is where we are. This is where we were before. I could see how fast we're going. I could kind of pace myself and anticipate when we were getting home. So it seemed a lot faster that way.
Right, sure. All right, well, Geryk, we are here home in L.A. Let's go exercise our Second Amendment right. And go
right here.
Buy some guns.
Right. Let's stop in here and then go to In-N-Out Burger.
Awesome.
Okay.
We're going to have a duel, and whoever kills the other first is the winner of this debate. Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Wait, what? This game is bugged.